You're watching USA News Hub, your home for breaking headlines, trending sports stories, and exclusive updates from across the nation. They expected a polite speech. They expected a young athlete to smile, accept her award, and leave quietly. But instead, Coco Gauff walked into a Manhattan ballroom filled with billionaires, CEOs, hedge fund kings, and Silicon Valley giants, and delivered a message so fearless, so unapologetic, and so emotionally charged, the room froze. And yes, Mark Zuckerberg was right there. Watching, listening, saying nothing. This is the speech that shook the wealthy and inspired the rest of America. The Hudson River glittered outside the glass walls of the Manhattan Grand Pavilion, where the wealthiest crowd of the year gathered for a black tie awards gala. This wasn't just any event. This was the room, the one where power sits in the first row, where fortunes sip champagne, and where influence wears custom-tailored tuxedos. Celebrities were there. Fortune 500 executives were there. Tech tycoons were there. And right in the center of it all was Coco Gauff, 21 years old. Poised, but carrying a message that no one saw coming. She was there to accept the Cultural Humanitarian of the Year award, an honor many thought she'd treat like a typical ceremonial moment. You know the routine. Smile. Thank everyone. Walk off stage. But Coco had other plans. When host Regina King announced her name, Coco rose from her seat, adjusted her simple black gown, and walked toward the stage with the confidence of someone who knew she was about to make history. She accepted the trophy, stepped up to the mic, and took a slow breath. The room quieted. Chairs shifted. Eyes focused. Even the billionaire table, Zuckerberg, 2 Fortune 50 chairmen, and a crypto mogul, leaned in. And then, she said the words that pierced the entire hall. If you've been blessed with more than you need, imagine what good you could do. You could have heard a pin drop. Coco didn't smile. She didn't soften her tone. She didn't dance around the point. She continued, steady, warm, but powerful. Maybe support the families who are struggling. Maybe invest in the communities that need hope. If you're fortunate enough to have abundance, why not share abundance? A few tables nodded. A few froze. Some exchanged glances. Zuckerberg kept his eyes locked on her, expressionless. But she wasn't done. Coco shifted her weight, glanced briefly at the award in her hand, and said, "Success means nothing if it stops with you." Then she looked directly at the richest men in the room, not with anger, not with accusation, but with truth. In a world that's hurting, keeping everything for yourself isn't success. It's a missed opportunity for humanity. Somewhere in the back, someone gasped. A waiter paused mid-step. A cluster of executives stared at her like they'd just been called to the front of a classroom. But Coco didn't flinch. She went on, "Wealth is powerful. But generosity changes lives." You could feel it. The shift in the room. The tension. The awakening. The discomfort. This wasn't a scolding. This wasn't an attack. It was a mirror. Here's the thing. Coco Gauff didn't lecture anyone. She didn't shame anyone. She simply asked the question America has been asking for years. If you can help, why wouldn't you? And that's what made the moment explosive. Because Coco has lived this message. Long before the cameras noticed. Long before she was invited to billionaire ballrooms. Long before her name carried weight. She's Heavy Checkmark funded youth sports programs in under-resourced communities. Heavy Checkmark donated to schools lacking basic supplies. Heavy Checkmark supported food security organizations. Heavy Checkmark built safe learning and recreation spaces for children. Heavy Checkmark helped launch mental health outreach projects. Heavy Checkmark poured time and money into giving kids opportunities she once only dreamed of, all quietly. All consistently. All without applause. So when she spoke to that room, she spoke as someone who practices what she preaches. Her words weren't philosophical. They were lived. As Coco wrapped up her speech, she ended with a final line, one that instantly went viral. Using your platform doesn't require perfection. Just heart. And with that, she stepped away from the microphone. Half the audience stood. Some clapped respectfully. Some stayed seated, stunned. But the applause grew louder. And louder. Until the entire room was on its feet. Even the billionaire table, slowly, reluctantly, rose. And in that moment, the youngest person in the room carried the most moral authority. Online, within minutes, clips shot across social media. Twitter, now X. This is leadership. 21 years old and already speaking truth to power. Instagram. Coco Gauff didn't make a speech. She made history. TikTok. She just checked an entire billionaire ballroom with kindness. The speech was called The Moment of the Year. The Courage America Needed. A generational clapback without cruelty. The truth is, most messages about wealth come from judgment, anger, or division. But Coco did something different. She didn't accuse. She didn't demand. She didn't shame. She inspired. Give where it counts. Simple. Direct. Human. Her message wasn't political. It wasn't ideological. It was emotional. Universal. Unavoidable. T asked the question billionaires avoid. What's the point of abundance if it helps no one but you? And that question carries a weight no fortune can silence. When Coco Gauff left that stage, she wasn't just applauded. She was respected. She was heard. She was felt. She was understood. And for millions of young Americans watching the clip from home, she became something even bigger than a tennis champion. A symbol of what modern leadership looks like. Compassion over ego. Courage over comfort. Action over applause. Coco didn't demand a revolution. She sparked one, quietly, gracefully, powerfully. A reminder that heavy checkmark strength isn't loud. Heavy checkmark wealth isn't freedom unless it frees others. Heavy checkmark, and the world doesn't change when the rich give speeches. It changes when they give care. Before stepping off stage, Coco offered one final truth: never let silence pretend to be strength. And that line echoed through the ballroom. And through the entire country. Like a challenge to every person with the means to help. The rest of us felt it too. Because Coco Gauff didn't just deliver words. She delivered a call to conscience, a reminder that generosity is a choice. And greatness is measured not by what we keep, but by what we give. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that's shaping America and the world. We'll see you in the next update.